There is an Arab nation that most people have barely heard of because it is one of the least explored places in the world. It holds the record for the longest train crossing the Sahara. It is also known for the fact that about 2% of its people still live in slavery in this country. A force-feeding custom exists due to the belief that a woman is considered more attractive when she is heavier. Along with this, we will reveal many other details that may surprise you. Now, let us begin a remarkable journey to Mauritania. Beauty standard. Mauritania is known as one of the countries with the lowest population density in the world. It lies almost entirely in the desert, which means the climate is always hot, dry, and filled with dust. The Islamic Republic of Mauritania has a strongly patriarchal culture where many women and girls grow up believing they are beneath men and must satisfy men to live a meaningful life. One clear example of this mindset is the beauty ideal that values obesity as a symbol of wealth, respect, and attraction. The pressure to meet this beauty ideal has led to the continuation of le bleu. This tradition is rooted in the belief that for women, thick layers of body fat represent the highest form of beauty. This view comes from customs formed centuries ago by the Moors, a group of nomadic Muslims of Arab and Berber heritage, who make up most of Mauritania's 3 million people. For the early Moors, having a fat wife was like owning healthy livestock. It showed that a man was wealthy enough to provide large amounts of food even when others struggled to survive in harsh, dry conditions. In Mauritanian culture, bigger women and girls are seen as attractive, fortunate, and respected, while thinner ones are considered lesser and may even bring embarrassment to their families. The practice has harmful health consequences, and many women are now pushing back against it. What would you do if you were born into a culture where your worth was measured by your weight? Interviews with 2 local women who run their own small businesses may help you better understand the traditions surrounding force feeding.
Do you remember their earliest memories of being told they needed to be bigger? From age 9 until they got married. Why does that make her attractive and more beautiful and more acceptable also in the community? Does she feel more beautiful that way? Or is it something that she's told?
She said,
If the lady didn't force feed, no one wants her. No one. It's not attractive.
slavery still exists in 2025. Despite officially abolishing slavery in 1981, Mauritania still has one of the highest rates of slavery in the world. Current estimates suggest that 2% of the population, roughly 90,000 people, live in conditions of slavery. This isn't historical slavery we're talking about. This is happening right now. In 2025, the enslaved are primarily darker-skinned Haritan people, owned by lighter-skinned Moors. It's a caste system based on descent, meaning if your ancestors were slaves, you're likely to be enslaved too. What's most shocking is that slavery wasn't even criminalized until 2007, 26 years after it was officially abolished. And despite the anti-slavery law existing for nearly 2 decades, not a single case has been successfully prosecuted. The practice continues with complete impunity. These modern slaves work in agriculture, herding livestock, and domestic service. They receive no payment, cannot leave freely, and their children automatically become slaves too. International organizations have repeatedly called out Mauritania for this, but the government's response has been minimal at best. The fact that this level of human rights violation exists in the 21st century, in a country that's a member of the United Nations, shows just how hidden and ignored Mauritania remains on the world stage. The divorce market. In Nouakchott, Mauritania's capital, there's a market called the divorce market, and it's exactly what it sounds like. This is where women come to sell items from their failed marriages. In Mauritania, divorce is incredibly simple. A man can divorce his wife just by pronouncing it. No paperwork, no legal proceedings, no complicated process. Just words, and it's done. But what happens next is where things get interesting. When a woman gets divorced, she must wait 3 months before she can remarry. But instead of this being a period of shame or sadness, it becomes a time of celebration. She wears new clothes, celebrates with music and friends, and has meals with family. It's treated almost like a festival. But divorced women actually become more desirable in the marriage market. Most men prefer women who have been married before because they believe these women have experience with raising children and managing households. Men think divorced women have the maturity to be good wives. even if the men themselves have never been married. The divorce market itself is fascinating. It's filled entirely with women selling expensive, handmade items from their previous marriages. A single sheet can cost the equivalent of several $100s. These women are essentially liquidating their past to fund their future, and society supports this process. What makes this even more remarkable is that while men who divorce multiple times are frowned upon, especially if they're young, women who have been married many times face no social stigma. It's a complete reversal of what we see in most cultures around the world. Are you enjoying this video? If you are, tap like to show your support, and hit hype if you're watching on your phone. Every like and every hype helps this video reach more people and gives me the motivation to bring you even better stories. Clothing for a land of winds. Mauritania literally means the land of many winds, and you feel it the moment you arrive. This is Nouakchott, the capital where the cold Atlantic crashes into the burning Sahara, creating some of the strongest, most constant winds on Earth. And no one knows how to dress for this climate better than Mauritanians. Among all desert peoples, they have perfected the most ventilated outfit, the boubou. What makes this clothing brilliant is how it works with the wind, rather than against it. In most climates, loose, flappy clothing would be impractical, but in Mauritania's constant windstorms, the boubou acts like a personal air conditioning system. The wind flows through the slits, creating circulation that keeps the wearer cool even in temperatures exceeding 45 degrees Celsius. The boubou covers you completely from the sun's harmful rays while allowing maximum airflow. It's loose enough that sand and dust don't stick to your body, and the fabric moves with the wind rather than fighting it. When sandstorms hit, which happens regularly, people can pull the fabric over their faces for protection while still being able to breathe comfortably. Some cool places to see. Mauritania may be a dry land covered with vast stretches of desert, but it is still a destination worth exploring. It offers several remarkable places to experience. The world's largest ship graveyard is found in Mauritania near the city of Nouadhibou, where hundreds of abandoned vessels rest in shallow waters, slowly being stripped or left to break down. When European ships become outdated, they are brought to Nouadhibou and left there. The country's currency notes show a train, representing the famous Iron Train, which is a national symbol. This is the longest and heaviest desert train in the world, stretching to 3 kilometers. Many visitors come here specifically for the challenge of riding this train. To begin the journey, you must travel to a small town called Zouerat, where the train is loaded with iron ore before returning to Nouadhibou. From there, the iron is shipped to countries around the world. This freight train carries iron, and the entire ride lasts 17 hours. During the trip, you spend 17 hours in the open air, sitting on top of iron ore. You must face cold temperatures, intense heat, and frequent sandstorms. This journey demands real bravery. You must cover your face completely, because breathing in iron dust can harm your lungs. It becomes a memory you will never forget. You must withstand difficult weather for the entire 17 hours. Gold mining also takes place in this country. To observe it, you must travel about 2 hours from Nouakchott to a town called Chamy. This area is known for gold mining, and the air is always filled with dust. The tools used in this work are simple and rough. Near Chamy, there's a gold region filled with thousands of mines, tunnels, and workers. By the will of Allah, gold lies beneath the sandy surface. The land actually produces gold. Stones are pulled out from underground, and separating the gold from the rock and soil is extremely hard work. Many workers lose their lives in these tunnels. The gold lies in tunnels around 50 meters below the ground. It is one of the toughest jobs in the world. Even under these harsh conditions, the workers never skip their prayers. They do not begin their task without praying and give their worship great importance. The collected stones are taken to other locations, where they are crushed with water in mills. Mercury is added so that it can attach to the gold, allowing it to separate from the soil. After careful washing and effort, pure gold is collected. This region operates like a world of its own. The country is rich in minerals, yet much of the wealth does not reach the ordinary people. Many historical places continue to stand here, including the ancient Chinguetti Mosque, built in the 12th century. Other important mosques include the Abbas Mosque and the Hassan Ali Mosque, which feature designs similar to the architecture of Marrakesh and Andalusia. Would you brave 17 hours on top of iron ore through sandstorms just for the experience? Let me know if you're adventurous enough. The camel market. Let me take you to something that perfectly captures the essence of Mauritanian culture. The camel market. This is the third largest in the world after Saudi Arabia and South Sudan, and it operates every single day of the year. Walking into this market is like stepping into a different world. Trucks arrive constantly, loaded with camels and covered in excrement from the journey. The smell hits you immediately. But what's more striking is the organized chaos of it all. People arrive with their cars, browse through hundreds of camels like they're shopping for groceries, and drive away with their new livestock. The pricing system is fascinating and reveals the deep knowledge these traders have about camels. Prices range from $600 to $200, but the factors that determine value are incredibly specific. Female camels cost more because they can produce milk and breed more camels. Baby camels are expensive because of their potential, but camels with particularly beautiful eyelashes command higher prices. What makes this market even more remarkable is its accessibility. Unlike many traditional markets that cater only to locals, anyone can come here and buy a camel. There are no restrictions, no special permits needed. If you want a camel, you come here, pick one out, and take it home. For thousands of years, camels have been the backbone of Saharan civilization, providing transportation, milk, meat, and companionship in a world increasingly dominated by modern technology. This market proves that some traditions remain not just relevant, but essential. The oasis that defies the desert. In the heart of the Sahara, where you'd expect nothing but sand and death, lies the Tarid Oasis, a place so magical it seems impossible. This small aquifer provides constant, fresh water in the middle of one of the world's most inhospitable environments. What makes this oasis extraordinary is how the water appears. It literally flows from the rocks, creating a constant supply of fresh, filtered water. When you step into this oasis, the temperature drops dramatically. It's like entering a natural air conditioning system powered by underground springs. The presence of palm trees immediately signals water to desert travelers. But seeing the actual source is breathtaking. The water cascades down from rock formations, creating pools that have sustained life in this region for thousands of years. This oasis represents hope and survival in the most unlikely place. For nomadic peoples crossing the Sahara, finding an oasis like this could mean the difference between life and death. It's a reminder that even in the harshest environments, life finds a way to persist. The contrast is stunning. You can be surrounded by endless sand dunes, with temperatures exceeding 50 degrees Celsius, and then suddenly find yourself in this cool, green sanctuary where fresh water flows freely. It's like discovering a secret room in a house you thought you knew completely. The holy city that time forgot. Chinguetti is the 7th holiest site in all of Islam, and it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But most of the world has never heard of it. This ancient city represents everything mysterious and fascinating about Mauritania. When you arrive in this part of the Sahara, and if you pay close attention, you will notice that the buildings and structures have unique patterns and symbols attached to them. In the southern areas of the country where Bedouin communities live, you will find tickets, which are symbolic figures placed on rooftops to show which tribe a family belongs to. When you travel to regions where the Berber Amazigh live, you will see that they use many triangle-shaped shelves in their walls, as well as doorways and passages that resemble the shape of a spade. These shapes have been used by their communities for centuries. These small but meaningful details are what I like to notice and record whenever I take trips like this. Mauritania is fascinating because even though it is a dry desert land with very little water, their most loved source of protein is fish. Their national dish is chebu jen, which is made of fish, rice, vegetables, and hot sauce. It tastes very good. The markets of Chinguetti show the rhythm of daily life. The mornings are busy. People buy what they need. Children head to school. The thing about Mauritania is everybody here has been super nice. Super chill. They don't judge you if you're different. They look at foreigners and they're like, hey, cool. They want to interact with you. They have no problem with you. They're used to looking at anybody and they're just like, hey, welcome. Everybody here has been super welcoming to us. It's just the way it is. Us in Mauritania, the national drink, enjoyed every day, is atay, which means tea. But they prepare it in a special way. Notice the foam they create in the cup before pouring the tea. This is an important Mauritanian custom. The foam is made on purpose before the tea is added. It works like a stimulant. Its effect is stronger than Italian espresso. Stronger than anything. They drink it daily and everywhere, both in the cities and deep in the desert from north to south. The dara, the traditional Mauritanian food. The country where everyone is a poet. Mauritania is known as the country of a million poets. And this isn't just a romantic nickname. It's based on reality. Most Mauritanians attend traditional schools where they study poetry, prose, and classical Arabic. This education system has created a population that speaks classical Arabic fluently and has a deep appreciation for literary arts. In the 1960s, a Kuwaiti newspaper did a feature on Mauritania and found that people write poetry everywhere, leading them to coin this famous phrase. You can walk through any market, sit in any cafe, or visit any home, and you'll find people who can recite classical poetry from memory or compose verses on the spot. This isn't limited to educated elites. It's a cultural trait that spans all social classes. This poetic tradition is deeply connected to Islamic scholarship. Mauritania has been a center of Islamic learning for centuries, with ancient libraries in cities like Chinguetti containing thousands of manuscripts. The combination of religious study and poetic tradition has created a unique intellectual culture. What's remarkable is how this literary tradition has survived in such a harsh environment. While the desert may be unforgiving, the human spirit has found expression through words. Creating beauty in one of the world's most challenging landscapes? The contrast is striking. This is a country where slavery still exists, where women are force-fed for beauty, where life is incredibly harsh. Yet it's also a place where poetry flourishes and intellectual discourse is valued above material wealth. A large country, but with many limitations. The nation is officially called the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, and it shares with Somalia the distinction of being the most Islamic country in Africa, with nearly its entire population following Islam. With an area of about 300,000 square kilometers and a population of around 3 million, Mauritania is the 11th largest country in Africa and the 28th largest in the world. It is larger than countries like Nigeria, Egypt, and Pakistan, which cover less land but have populations more than 20 times greater than Mauritania's. Even though the country covers a huge land area, it has a population density of only about 5 people per square kilometer. This makes it the third most sparsely populated nation in Africa after Namibia and Botswana. To show how empty Mauritania is, consider Lagos, a Nigerian city with an area of less than 200 square kilometers. Lagos has about 24 million residents, which is 5 times the population of Mauritania. A look at Mauritania's map reveals that most people live in the southern regions near the Senegal River and in coastal urban centers along the Atlantic. Cities such as Nouakchott, the capital, and Nouadhibou attract larger populations because they have better facilities, more economic activity, and access to water. Why does such a large country have only about 3 million people living on roughly 5% of its land? The desert environment brings extreme conditions, including very hot days, cold nights, and little unpredictable rainfall that often cannot support vegetation or water sources. The harsh landscape creates major difficulties for people trying to settle there. Water scarcity is one of the biggest reasons behind the low population density. Unlike places with many rivers or regular rainfall, Mauritania has very limited water resources, aside from the Senegal River, which forms the southern border. The country has no major permanent lakes or rivers. The Senegal River Valley is the main center of farming and settled life. This narrow, fertile zone makes irrigation possible and supports more concentrated communities. In contrast, the rest of the country depends on groundwater that lies deep beneath the surface, making it costly and challenging to reach. Many rural areas rely on seasonal rains or wells that offer limited and irregular water supply. Because the population is so unevenly spread out, it is difficult for the country to maintain unity, deliver services, and ensure effective governance. Many communities live far apart, isolated from healthcare, schools, and markets. Economically, Mauritania depends on a small number of industries, including mining, especially iron ore, coastal fishing, and small-scale farming near the Senegal River. Mauritania remains one of the least visited countries in Africa, even though it has a rich cultural history. Striking desert scenery and ancient landmarks. Several factors limit tourism, including its environment, geography, politics, and infrastructure. Safety is a major issue for travelers. Mauritania borders countries like Mali that have experienced conflict and terrorism, the possibility of extremist actions. Kidnappings and armed groups in border regions has led many governments to issue travel warnings, advising against visiting certain areas of Mauritania. These warnings discourage tourists and travel companies from promoting the country. Just saying, while the capital and coastal cities remain fairly secure. The sense of risk continues. Political uncertainty, including past coups and occasional demonstrations, also affects visitors' confidence. Mauritania has not invested much in presenting itself as an international travel destination. Unlike countries with strong tourism campaigns, Mauritania has a small and underdeveloped tourism sector. Many of its attractions, such as the ancient trading city of Chinguetti, the Richa structure known as the Eye of the Sahara, and its vast desert views, remain unfamiliar to most people except those interested in adventure travel. The lack of organized tourism facilities, including guided tours, visitor centers, and helpful information, means that travelers must often plan complicated trips on their own. This difficulty limits tourism mainly to people who seek challenging experiences or have very specific interests. As we wrap up this journey through Mauritania's secrets, remember what we've uncovered: a country where ancient traditions persist in ways both beautiful and unsettling. The 10 facts we explored, from dangerous beauty standards to poetry, from modern slavery to deep hospitality, show a place that defies simple labels. We've seen how Mauritania controls women's bodies through Le Bleu. But what if a government tried to control something even more personal? Your emotions. There's actually a country where smiling wasn't just encouraged, it was the law. People could be punished for not looking happy in public, except in hospitals or at funerals. Can you guess which country turned happiness into a legal obligation? Click the link at the top of the screen or check the pinned comment below for the answer. What makes Mauritania truly mind-blowing isn't each fact alone, but how they coexist where fat is beautiful, divorced women are admired, slavery persists beside poetry, and fish is beloved in the desert. These aren't just quirky cultural details. They challenge our assumptions about progress, beauty, and freedom. The darker taboos, like ongoing slavery and force-feeding, remind us how complex and uncomfortable reality can be. But they also show why we must look beyond our own assumptions to understand the full spectrum of human experience. If these insights surprised you, make sure to subscribe. Next week, we explore another hidden country that may change how you see the world. And I'd love to hear from you which fact shocked you most. Had you heard of Mauritania before? Thanks for joining me on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep discovering our world's incredible diversity. First impressions and Finnish culture. People enter a room completely naked, remain silent, and consider it perfectly normal. This is not a hidden ritual. It is simply the Finnish sauna, and this is just the beginning. In Finland, you can leave your phone in the middle of the street, and no one will take it. But try to start a conversation with a stranger on the bus, and they will stare at you as if you have done something wrong. And there is more? Want to live here? Then forget about personalizing your house, because even changing a door requires permission. There are many beautiful women here, but the cold is so intense that it freezes your body and makes your courage disappear. Today, you are going to learn everything about Finland. And at the end, you will decide whether you could live here or escape after the first winter. Finns are known for being quiet, reserved, and very direct. This means that if you try to chat with someone in a supermarket line, they will likely look at you as if you have admitted to something terrible. This does not mean they are unfriendly. In fact, they live by a simple rule: if you have nothing important to say, then please stay silent. Here, talking too much is not only unnecessary, it can even be considered disrespectful. Even though everyone seems to keep to themselves, Finland is one of the most honest countries in the world. You can find flower stands with no one around. You simply scan a QR code, pay online, and walk away with your bouquet. The sacred silence of Finnish saunas. One of Finland's most famous contributions is the sauna, which has become a key part of its national identity. There are over 3 million saunas in the country, meaning there is more than one for every 2 people. Saunas hold deep cultural importance for Finns, and most people visit them several times a week for both physical and mental relaxation. There is even a Finnish saying that a house without a sauna is not truly a home. Enjoying a sauna while looking out over a snowy landscape is one of the favorite ways to release stress. People from Finland and other countries alike enjoy the nation's many spas and saunas for this reason. The practice helps maintain both physical health and mental balance. Especially in winter, spending time in a sauna becomes even more comforting, helping people stay relaxed and healthy. There is also a unique tradition after sitting in a sauna with temperatures over 176 degrees Fahrenheit. Many Finns dive into an icy lake or roll in the snow. It may look extreme, but it is actually a way to refresh the body, improve blood circulation, and feel more energized. However, one strict rule applies inside the sauna: complete silence. Talking is seen as inappropriate, and silence is treated almost like a sacred custom. Living between darkness and midnight sun. In Finland, the weather operates at full intensity. During winter, daylight is limited to just a few hours, if that, making you question your life choices. Snow may look beautiful from a distance, but once you step outside and start slipping on the icy streets, it becomes a daily challenge. The hardest part, however, is not the cold but the darkness. In some parts of the country, the sun barely rises during midwinter. You wake up in the dark, eat lunch in the dark, and by the time you think the day has started, it is already night again. It feels like living in constant vampire mode. Summer is the complete opposite. If the sun disappears in winter, it makes up for it by shining endlessly in summer. Want to sleep? That becomes your problem, because even at 2 in the morning, it is still bright outside. And Finns love it. This is when the whole country comes alive after months of hibernation, turning into one big outdoor celebration filled with beaches, barbecues, and festivals. It feels as if someone has pressed the reset button on everyone. But instead of complaining about the weather, Finns choose to adapt. Here, people believe there is no bad weather, only the wrong choice of clothing. If it is minus 25 degrees, they just add another layer and move on. When it is warm, they enjoy every second of it, knowing that soon enough, the freezing season will return once again. Land of beautiful women. Finnish women have a unique beauty that makes them instantly recognizable. They are often tall, with fair skin like snow, icy blue eyes, and a calm, mysterious charm that attracts attention and earns admiration. However, what truly defines them is not their appearance, but their strength and independence. In Finland, it is completely normal for a woman to drive through snowy forests, repair things at home, or lead a construction team. They do this not to make a point, but because self-reliance is simply part of who they are. Finnish women are highly educated and belong to one of the most gender-equal societies in the world. At one time, 12 of Finland's government ministers were women, something many nations still hope to achieve. Even in relationships, independence and equality are essential values. Do not expect her to let you pay the entire bill on a date. She will likely prefer to split it. This is not a lack of romance, but a reflection of how much she values self-sufficiency and mutual respect. Finnish women are intelligent, honest, and dislike pretense or exaggerated displays of affection. But when they love, they do so deeply and faithfully, combining emotion with reason and standing by their partner through every challenge. In Finland, men often let women speak first, not only out of courtesy, but also because they recognize that Finnish women are confident and articulate. And in any discussion, one thing is certain: she will always have the final word. If you're curious about how to meet and date a Finnish woman through dating apps or social platforms, and want us to share some helpful tips to win her heart, leave a comment with the number 1. Finland has a wife-carrying championship. In Finland, men run through mud while carrying their wives, all for the chance to win a barrel of beer. The wife-carrying world championship takes place every year in the small town of Socotra, and the rules are just as unusual as the event itself. You can carry your own wife or someone else's, as long as the woman is over 17 years old and weighs at least 108 pounds, or 49 kilograms. If she weighs less, she must carry extra weight to meet the requirement. The most entertaining part is the prize. The winner receives the woman's weight in beer. Yes, if you carry your wife through a challenging obstacle course and finish first, you take home a beer reward equal to her weight. The heavier the wife, the more beer you earn. The event has become so famous that couples from the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, and even Japan now train for it seriously with real techniques. The most popular carrying method is known as the Estonian style, where the woman hangs upside down with her legs around her partner's shoulders like a human backpack. It may look strange, but it is very effective. The championship features official judges, timekeepers, race gear, and an excited crowd that cheers as if they were watching the World Cup. If you want to discover more unique stories from around the world, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any fascinating journeys where every tradition and celebration holds a magical story waiting for you to explore. The world's most trusted education system. Finland is known for having one of the best education systems in the world. Basic education is free and mandatory for 9 years, and students focus on truly learning instead of memorizing facts to forget later. The goal is not to fill their minds with useless formulas, but to help them understand and apply what they learn. There are no intense entrance exams that cause stress, and learning happens at a comfortable pace without unnecessary pressure. This system is built on trust and great respect for teachers. Every teacher must have a master's degree and go through a very selective process, where only about 10% of applicants are accepted. They receive good salaries, teach fewer hours, and have longer holidays, allowing for a healthy balance between work and personal life. With such skilled educators, Finland has created an outstanding education system recognized worldwide. It consistently performs well in global tests like PISA, not only for academic results but also for fairness, ensuring that every student receives a high-quality education no matter their background. Unique Finnish laws and systems. If you are driving in Finland, you should know that traffic fines are not based on the violation itself but on your annual income. This system, known as the day fine method, means that the wealthier you are, the higher your fine will be. If you earn less, your penalty is smaller. The idea follows a core Finnish belief that justice must be completely fair, and that the weight of punishment should feel equal for everyone, no matter how much money they have. Because of this, there have been some remarkable cases that caught international attention. A rich businessman was once fined over $100,000 for slightly exceeding the speed limit. That amount could easily buy a new car rather than pay for a speeding ticket. Meanwhile, a student working part-time might only pay a few dozen for the same offense. To people from countries like the United States, where fines are fixed amounts, this system may seem strange, but in Finland, it is considered fair and logical. Drinking culture in Finland. Rules, contrasts, and connections. In Finland, the sale of alcohol is tightly controlled by the government, especially when it comes to strong drinks. All liquor sales go through Alko Oy, a state-owned retail chain. These stores have limited opening hours, usually closing much earlier than regular supermarkets and staying closed on Sundays in most areas. Because of this regulation, the idea of stopping by a convenience store late at night to buy vodka or wine simply does not exist in Finland. Interestingly, this strict control goes hand in hand with a culture that often involves binge drinking, where people consume large amounts of alcohol during certain occasions. Finns usually avoid drinking during the week, but often drink heavily on weekends or holidays. For visitors, it can be surprising to see the country shift from its quiet and reserved mood to a lively and energetic weekend atmosphere. For many Finns, drinking serves as a social bridge that helps break the natural reserve typical of their culture. Alcohol-centered gatherings are often where people open up and connect more easily. However, for foreigners who do not drink, this can make socializing a bit difficult. A helpful suggestion is to join other activities instead, such as sports clubs, music festivals, or outdoor adventures. These experiences provide great opportunities to meet and connect with Finns in a natural and comfortable way. The country with the cleanest air in the world. Would you drink water straight from a public faucet on the street? In Finland, not only is that safe, it is actually encouraged. According to the World Health Organization and Yale University, Finland has the cleanest water and some of the purest air on Earth. You can safely drink tap water anywhere, whether you're in a park, a school, a cabin deep in the forest, or even a public restroom. The underground water flows naturally through ancient forests and granite rocks that have filtered it for centuries. Locals often joke that if you see a stream in Finland, don't just take a photo, take a sip first. And as for the air, the town of Muonio in northern Finland has the lowest level of fine particle pollution in the world, just 3 micrograms per cubic meter. That means every breath you take feels like a natural vitamin boost for your lungs. What's even more impressive is how people live with nature. In rural areas, many still brew coffee using spring water, keep their windows open throughout the year, and even sleep outdoors in summer. They do this not as an eco-friendly gesture, but because nature here is so clean that they simply don't need to worry about it harming them. The happiest country in the world. You might think happiness comes from big parties or luxury, but in Finland, it begins with quiet moments, simple living, and a warm cup of coffee by a calm lake. For 6 consecutive years, from 2018 to 2023, Finland has been ranked the happiest country in the world by the United Nations World Happiness Report. It may seem strange that a nation with long, dark winters, limited sunlight, and only 5 million people leads the list. The secret lies in a mix of factors: a clean environment, strong social support, and a simple, balanced lifestyle. Finns benefit from free education, high-quality healthcare, and a strong welfare system that lets them live without constant financial stress. It's something that might surprise Americans when they compare their own tuition or medical bills. Finnish society values fairness, openness, and trust in government so much so that 84% of citizens say they trust their leaders. The country also has one of the smallest income gaps in Europe, is among the safest places on the planet, and consistently ranks as one of the least corrupt nations in the world. Finnish happiness comes from their deep philosophy of life, living simply, without showing off or rushing. They call it sisu, which means quiet strength and determination to keep moving forward without complaint. They find happiness in small moments: a sauna session, a peaceful walk in the forest, reading in silence, or simply enjoying solitude. Finns drink the most coffee in the world. When people think of coffee, they often imagine Italy, Brazil, or the United States. But surprisingly, the biggest coffee drinkers in the world are the Finns, each consuming more than 4 cups a day and around 26 pounds of coffee every year. About 80% of the coffee consumed in Finland is lightly roasted. It's not the strong espresso or artistic latte you might expect, but a pale, smooth filter coffee that carries a long tradition. Even more interesting, Finland is the only country where workplaces are legally required to give employees 2 coffee breaks a day, each lasting 15 minutes. It doesn't matter if you are the CEO or just starting your job. These breaks are sacred, and no one disturbs them. Walking through Helsinki, you will find cozy Scandinavian-style cafes where people prefer reading books over using phones. One remarkable example is the Udi Library, which serves as a community center with spaces for recording, 3D printing, and even meditation. At Finnish weddings, guests are often served coffee multiple times, sometimes up to 7 rounds. Offering coffee is considered a sign of hospitality and respect. The Sami, Finland's most unique indigenous people. In the far north, where snow covers the ground year-round and pine forests stretch endlessly, lives the Sami, the indigenous people of northern Finland. In Sami culture, children follow their mother's family line rather than their father's. This matrilineal tradition influences inheritance, rituals, and social structures, placing women at the heart of the community. One special tradition is the passing down of the gakti, a traditional dress that mothers give to their daughters. It's more than clothing, it's a cultural identity card. By looking at the colors, patterns, and neckline design, other Sami can tell where a person comes from, their family line, marital status, and community recognition. Sami women also hold important spiritual roles. They play ceremonial drums, perform ancient songs known as joik, and take part in rituals connecting them to their ancestors. They are seen as both life-givers and the guardians of their people's soul and heritage. In Finland, often called the world's happiest country, the Sami community stands as a reminder of cultural richness, where respect for women and female leadership runs deep. Lapland has the most beautiful northern lights in Finland. Have you ever watched the sky come alive? In Lapland, between September and March, the night sky transforms into a glowing display. The northern lights appear more than 200 nights a year, giving visitors over a 50% chance of seeing them during a short stay. The most breathtaking time is midwinter, when the air is clear, the sky cloudless, and the ground covered in snow. Whether you are standing in a forest or riding a husky sled, the sky above dances in bright, shifting colors. The best part is that you don't need to climb mountains or travel far to see them. In Rovaniemi, Santa Claus's official hometown, some resorts offer glass igloos where you can lie in bed under warm blankets and watch the aurora above. There's even a special alert service that sends a message when the lights appear. Imagine being woken by your phone, rushing outside and witnessing the most stunning show nature can offer. To the Sami, the Northern Lights are not just a natural event, but a living spirit. According to their beliefs, whistling, pointing, or laughing at the lights could anger them. Some legends even say the lights can take your soul if you show disrespect. That is why many Sami still watch in silence, treating the aurora with deep reverence. Want to know the best places to see the most surreal Northern Lights in Finland? Drop a comment with yes and I'll share them with you. Finnish cuisine. You cannot experience Finland without tasting its food. In Lapland, one unforgettable dish is loimulohi. Salmon smoked on a wooden plank, its aroma mixing with the crisp winter air, often eaten beside a frozen lake. Another northern favorite is poronkaristis, a stew made from reindeer meat. It is served with mashed potatoes and lingonberry jam, combining savory, rich, and sweet flavors. Thanks to every man's right, anyone can pick mushrooms and berries from the wild, turning Finland's forests into a natural supermarket. Some foods, though, surprise visitors. Americans are often puzzled by mami, a dark brown rye dessert that looks like mud but is served with milk or cream. Then there's salmiakki, a salty licorice candy loved by Finns but considered a challenge by most foreigners. And kalakukko, a traditional loaf baked with an entire fish inside, remains a point of pride in rural regions. Festival foods are just as special. At Christmas, julukinku, a roasted ham with sweet mustard, is the centerpiece. During Vappu, the spring festival, people enjoy sima, a lightly fermented drink, along with monkey, sweet donuts. Another classic dish is karjalanpirakka, or Karelian pastry, made of thin rye crust filled with rice and topped with butter mixed with boiled eggs, a simple, traditional favorite. Generous immigration policies. Finland has begun opening its doors to newcomers, not with empty promises but with remarkable generosity. While many developed countries face aging populations and shrinking workforces, Finland has turned this challenge into an opportunity by welcoming foreigners through creative programs. In some rural areas, you can rent a house for as little as $1 if you agree to settle long-term, work remotely, or start a small business. That's only part of it. Young foreign families also receive free education for their children, maternity benefits, and housing support. For entrepreneurs, the government can offer up to $54,000 to start a business. And if it fails, the money does not need to be repaid. Finland values the courage to try more than success itself. Even if you face setbacks, unemployment benefits can last up to 500 days, giving people time to learn new skills, change careers, or rest before starting again. When retirement comes, the welfare system continues to shine. Retirees receive around $1,700 to $1,800 a month, along with nearly free healthcare. In remote areas, they even receive heating subsidies, free train travel, and firewood during the cold months. It's no wonder Finland is often described as a true welfare paradise, where social support extends from childhood to old age, ensuring a dignified and secure life for everyone. Finland isn't just a place, it's a feeling. A land where silence speaks louder than words, where the cold teaches warmth, and where simplicity becomes the greatest luxury. From the sacred stillness of saunas to the magic of the Northern Lights, every moment here carries meaning. It's a country that proves happiness isn't about noise, competition, or wealth. It's about balance, honesty, and harmony with nature. Here, people trust each other, respect rules, and find beauty and quiet strength, what Finns call sisu. Whether it's diving into an icy lake, savoring a cup of coffee, or walking under the endless summer sun. Life in Finland is about being present, calm, and real. So, after discovering all these wonders about the people, traditions, and spirit of this northern paradise, ask yourself, would you choose to live in Finland? Or would you escape after the first snowstorm? If you enjoyed this journey through Finland, don't stop here. Like this video if you were amazed by Finland's beauty and culture. Comment below. Would you survive a Finnish winter, or do you prefer the midnight sun? And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure, exploring the world's most fascinating countries and their untold stories. Because every destination hides a story, and we're here to tell them all. Have you ever heard of a place where fish literally fall from the sky during rainstorms? A place where there is a legal wife market held every 3 months? Or a country that once went to war just because of a soccer match? Welcome to Honduras, one of the most mysterious and least known countries in Central America. Today we will explore 15 shocking facts and cultural taboos that will completely change the way you see this fascinating nation. From airports so dangerous that passengers applaud when they land safely. Let's begin with perhaps the most shocking fact on this list. In a small village in northwestern Honduras, something that sounds medieval is happening right now in 2025. Every 3 months, 100 to 200 young women gather at what locals call the wife market. And the practice is legally recognized and protected under Honduran law. According to local regulations, a husband has the customarily allowed to bring his wife to this market to present his wife to other men with another man. The market attracts dozens of local men who come to inspect, negotiate, and transact. What makes it even more complicated is that others come voluntarily, hoping to escape hardship and find a better life. There are documented cases of women who were treated badly by their ex-husbands, but then found love and respect from their new partners. This creates a moral dilemma that challenges our modern understanding of marriage, consent, and women's rights. Speaking of women's rights, Honduras is a heartbreaking contradiction. The country is home to some of the most beautiful women in Central America, many possessing a striking blend of indigenous, European, and African features. But behind that surface lies a harsh reality that makes Honduras one of the worst places in the world to be born a girl. With a population of around 11 million, more than 50% under the age of 30, the nation is facing a crisis of the problem of early marriage problem and early motherhood. Honduras has the second highest rate of early motherhood in the world. Of 195 countries, Honduras ranks second in the percentage of girls born before they are emotionally, financially, or mentally prepared for motherhood. Now, let's move from social issues to something that sounds mythical but is entirely real. In the small town of Lloro, Honduras, people experience one of the strangest weather phenomena on Earth: fish literally raining from the sky. This is not folklore or exaggerated local legend. The event, known locally as Lluvia de Peces, occurs at least once a year and has been documented by scientists, journalists, and researchers for decades. Imagine waking up after a heavy storm, stepping outside, and instead of puddles and wet sidewalks, you find hundreds of small fish scattered across the ground. In the 1970s, a research team from National Geographic traveled to Lloro to witness the fish rain firsthand. They documented the event and confirmed that fish do indeed fall from the sky during certain storms. But what is even stranger is that they are not ordinary fish. They appear to be species from the Atlantic Ocean, nearly 200 kilometers away. Yet scientific analysis has shown an even more puzzling fact: all of the fish collected after these rains are freshwater species, even though there are no major rivers or lakes near Lloro. For the people of Lloro, this phenomenon is not just a curiosity, it is a blessing. After each fish rain, families gather the fish, a valuable source of protein for meals. Children run through the streets with buckets, collecting the treasures that have fallen from the sky. But what would you do if fish started falling from the sky in your town? Do you know of any weirder phenomena? Challenge us in the comments with a fact from your country. If you are planning to visit Honduras, you need to know about Toncontín Airport in the capital, Tegucigalpa. This airport has been labeled one of the most dangerous in the world, and once you understand why, you will see why passengers applaud after a safe landing. Imagine this: you are preparing to land, and instead of a long, straight runway surrounded by flat terrain, you are flying toward mountains. Towering peaks surround the airport on all sides. As the plane descends, the pilot must execute a sharp 45-degree turn just before landing, a maneuver requiring incredible skill and perfect timing. But that is not the scariest part. The runway at Toncontín Airport is only about 2,170 meters long. For comparison, Los Angeles International Airport has runways up to 3,800 meters, almost twice as long. Yet somehow, large commercial jets like the Boeing 757 still have to land on this seemingly impossible strip of pavement. This is why every successful landing at Toncontín is greeted with enthusiastic applause from passengers and crew. When you step off the plane, you may even be greeted by airport staff saying emotionally, Congratulations, you have landed safely in Honduras. It is both heartwarming and unsettling that this has become a normal part of the travel experience. Condom secret, a cultural paradox. Here is where Honduras becomes truly contradictory, and this fact exposes strange moral paradoxes. Ready? Walking through Tegucigalpa, especially at night, you will see many women in the nightlife entertainment industry openly seeking customers. The activity is not hidden or underground, it is public, and law enforcement does not intervene because it is fully legal. Nightlife entertainment industry is regulated and accepted as part of the economy. But here is the unbelievable contradiction. Try buying a box of condoms at a pharmacy, and you will experience one of the most uncomfortable transactions of your life. Both you and the pharmacist act as if you are purchasing something deep in visible discomfort. This staggering contrast has spread unchecked. On the Caribbean coast of Honduras exists a society that may astonish most people with its approach to gender dynamics. In the Garifuna community, there is an unwritten but sacred rule: men never argue with women. And this is not just politeness, it is a core part of their spiritual and cultural identity. If you are a man, you are not allowed to raise your voice at a woman, especially not at your wife, mother, or elders. This is not enforced by formal law, but by a cultural norm so deeply rooted that violating it is considered spiritually dangerous. But what is truly fascinating is this. Women are not just respected, they hold real power. They own land, decide which schools the children attend, whether the house should be sold, and even whether the husband may invite relatives over. Men still fish, work, and socialize, but once they enter the home, they understand that women hold ultimate authority. Garifuna men are taught from a young age that women possess special spiritual abilities that connect them to ancestors and the spirit world. Women are seen as keepers of cultural knowledge, guardians of family lineage, and the bridge between the living and the dead. In 2011, Honduras caused international controversy by becoming the first country in the world to ban smoking not only in public places, but potentially inside private homes. If a guest or family member complains about your smoking, the police can come to your house and fine you $311. In a country where the monthly minimum wage is roughly $311, the fine equals an entire month's income for many people. In any open space, smokers must stand at least 1.8 meters away from non-smokers. This means that even in outdoor areas like parks or plazas, you cannot light a cigarette unless you maintain that distance. 9 out of 10 Hondurans with acute bronchitis live in homes with smokers. This means secondhand smoke is causing serious health problems for people who do not even smoke. The law has created some interesting social dynamics. Many smokers in Honduras now sneak cigarettes inside their homes, smoke in the bathroom with the window open, or step outside even during storms. Some families have built designated smoking areas in their yards, complete with ashtrays and chairs, treating smokers almost as if they are quarantined. This is a fact that will forever change how you view both Honduras and U.S. foreign policy. The term banana republic, which we now use to describe any politically unstable country with a weak economy, originates here. And the story behind it involves American businessmen, political coups, and economic manipulation that sounds like a movie. The story truly begins in 1910, when an American businessman named Sam Zemery entered the banana export industry in Honduras. In 1911, Zemery actually conspired with former Honduran President Manuel Bonilla to stage a coup against the sitting president, Miguel Davila, turning Honduras into the world's first true banana republic. The country became economically dependent on a single export product, with American companies controlling not only banana plantations but also railroads, ports, even much of the government. By 1929, Honduras had become the largest banana exporter in the world, but this success came at a heavy price. The entire economy lay under the control of foreign corporations, primarily the United Fruit Company, which essentially operated like a shadow government. They owned vast tracts of land, controlled transportation infrastructure, and wielded enormous influence over political decisions. The legacy of this Banana Republic era still affects Honduras today. Americans may joke about how seriously the rest of the world takes soccer, but in Honduras, that passion once led to war. In 1969, Honduras and El Salvador fought what became known as the Soccer War. The conflict began during the qualifiers for the 1970 World Cup. Honduras and El Salvador were competing for a spot in the tournament, and tensions between the two nations were already high due to immigration and economic disputes. But when El Salvador defeated Honduras in a decisive match, officially ending Honduras's World Cup dream, emotions spilled beyond the stadium. Just weeks after that soccer match, the two countries went to war. The soccer war lasted exactly 100 hours, becoming one of the shortest wars in modern history. The consequences were disastrous for both nations, especially for the roughly 300,000 Salvadoran migrants living in Honduras, many of whom were forced to flee back to El Salvador, triggering a refugee crisis that lasted for years. The war shows how deeply Hondurans value soccer, but it also reveals deeper social and economic tensions that can turn a sporting event into a national tragedy. A war over a soccer game is wild. What's one thing your country is so passionate about that it could jokingly start a war? Let us know what it is and where you're from in the comments. In the city of Choluteca in southern Honduras stands a monument to failed planning that has become famous worldwide. This is the most useless bridge in the world, and once you hear the story, you will understand why it is taught in business schools as a textbook example of poor project management. The bridge was completed in 1998 and was considered a marvel of modern engineering. Designed by Japanese engineers and built to withstand the powerful hurricanes that regularly strike Central America, it was meant to be Honduras's pride. The bridge was solid, beautiful, and represented millions of dollars in international investment. Just a few months later, Hurricane Mitch struck Honduras. It was one of the most devastating storms of the 20th century, dumping more than 75 inches of rain in just 4 days. The storm was so powerful that it literally reshaped the landscape of the country. Here is where the story becomes tragically absurd. The Choluteca River, which the bridge had been built to span, completely changed course during the storm. The massive rainfall and flooding caused the river to carve an entirely new channel through the terrain. It has become a surreal tourist attraction and a powerful symbol of how even the best laid plans can become completely useless due to circumstances beyond our control. Have you ever seen a useless bridge project in your own city or country? Describe it in the comments below. Let's examine this difficult issue. Honduras is truly one of the most dangerous countries in the world, and even the Honduran government acknowledges this reality. This is not an exaggeration by travel bloggers or media sensationalism. It is a serious security crisis affecting both locals and visitors. The security situation is so dire that San Pedro Sula, Honduras' second largest city, has repeatedly been ranked as one of the most dangerous cities in the world, with a higher rate of violent incidents than some conflict zones. Violent crime is not only widespread but also localized. The security situation is complicated, with many serious crimes occurring frequently, even in broad daylight. What is particularly frightening is that these crimes often target random victims, meaning that simply appearing at the wrong time and in the wrong place can have unpredictable consequences. What's especially heartbreaking is how this affects ordinary Hondurans trying to live normal lives. Children walk to school through neighborhoods where sounds of conflict are not uncommon. Small business owners pay protection money to organize criminal groups just to keep their stores open. Families live behind barred windows and locked doors, even in their own homes. The economic impact is enormous. Tourism, which could be a major source of revenue for this beautiful country, is severely limited by safety concerns. This is a cultural taboo that leaves many visitors completely surprised and can immediately mark you as disrespectful or ignorant of local customs. In Honduras, entering someone's home barefoot is considered one of the most impolite things you can do, equivalent to walking in and declaring that you do not respect the host. This may seem strange to people from cultures where removing shoes is actually polite, but in Honduras, bare feet carry negative associations with poverty, laziness, and disregard for social norms. Many Honduran families take this so seriously that they even post signs at the entrance reading, "Please do not enter barefoot." If you ignore the rule, you may be asked to leave or face uncomfortable stares from everyone inside. The cultural reasoning behind this taboo goes far beyond basic hygiene concerns. Many Hondurans believe that bare feet bring not only dirt into the home but also your attitude and energy. There is a common belief that a person entering barefoot is displaying carelessness and disrespect that affects the entire household. This applies not only to homes but also to many public spaces. Churches, government buildings, schools, and even some businesses require appropriate footwear. Flip-flops or sandals are generally acceptable, but going barefoot will mark you as someone who does not understand or respect local customs. Deep along the Caribbean coast of Honduras exists one of the most mysterious and sacred cultural practices, perfectly embodying its matriarchal society. It is called hungo hungu, and if you are a man, you are completely forbidden from participating no matter who you are or where you come from. It is a deeply spiritual ritual performed during Dugu ceremonies, where Garifuna women use dance to communicate directly with ancestors and receive messages from the spirit world. Thick incense smoke rising into the air while hypnotic drum beats echo through the night. Mothers, aunts, and elder women sway their hips in repetitive, trance-like movements that can last for hours. The dance is not meant to impress or entertain. Instead, it is powerful and purposeful, with every gesture carrying spiritual meaning. The woman's body becomes a bridge between the living world and the spirit realm, allowing ancestors to communicate and guide the community. Men are not only discouraged from participating in hungo hungu, they are spiritually barred. If a man attempts to intrude or join the dance, he is immediately asked to leave and considered spiritually impure. The community believes male energy in these rituals can disrupt the ancestral connection and potentially harm the village. The prohibition is not based on sexism as we might interpret it today. Instead, it reflects the Garifuna belief that women possess unique spiritual powers that men do not. Honduras offers a culinary experience most visitors never expect, blending influences from Central America, Spain, indigenous traditions, and the Caribbean into dishes that will completely change your perception of Central American food. The country's most beloved dish is the bailada. These are soft tortillas filled with mashed beans, cheese, sour cream, and optional meat or scrambled eggs. For a full cultural experience, order the plato típico, which means typical plate but delivers a burst of flavor. This hearty meal includes rice, grilled meat, sweet fried plantains, beans, cheese, and corn cakes. Each component complements the others, creating a perfect balance of sweet, savory, and salty, representing the diversity of Honduran agriculture. A dish that truly captures the nation's cultural fusion is tapado alenchano, a rich stew combining chicken, beef, and coconut milk with local vegetables and spices. The result is an accessible dish reflecting both indigenous cooking techniques and Caribbean influences brought by coastal communities. The country's coffee culture is also noteworthy, with highland regions producing beans that rival those of more famous coffee nations. Many small farms welcome visitors for coffee tours where you can learn the entire process from plant to aromatic cup. Let's talk about money and the reality of the cost of living in Honduras, because the numbers may shock you whether you are considering travel or wondering about the economic conditions shaping daily life here. In the city center, you can rent a one-bedroom apartment for about $380 to $630 USD per month. Move to the suburbs, and the same apartment may cost only $250 to $440 USD per month. Grocery costs are quite reasonable if you cook at home. A single person can easily spend $190 to $380 USD per month on food, especially if shopping at local markets for fresh ingredients. Dining out is also extremely affordable. A casual restaurant meal costs around $6 to $13 USD, while even higher-end meals rarely exceed $25 to $63 USD per meal. Public buses are extremely cheap, at about 65 cents per ride. Taxis and rideshare services range from $4 to $13 USD depending on distance. If you own a car, gasoline costs around $5 to $6 USD per gallon. Basic utilities including electricity, water, internet, and mobile service typically cost $100 to $225 USD per month. For leisure and lifestyle expenses such as a gym membership, movies, or weekend trips, budget an additional $65 to $250 USD per month. In practical terms, a single person can live comfortably in Honduras on a monthly budget of $880 to $1,900 USD. For short-term visitors, a one-week trip may cost only $380 to $500 USD, including accommodation, dining, and recreational activities. There you have it, 15 shocking facts about Honduras, revealing a nation far more complex, fascinating, and contradictory than most people imagine. What surprised you most about Honduras? Which fact made you want to learn more? Let me know in the comments below, and if you found this video interesting, Subscribe to the channel to see more documentaries uncovering hidden truths about countries around the world. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next documentary. Cyprus is the only country that has its national map on its flag. This small island nation in the Mediterranean sits at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, a strategic location that has shaped its extraordinary history. With an area of about 9,251 square kilometers and a population of over 4 million, Cyprus is smaller than many U.S. states. Yet this tiny nation wields one of the world's most powerful passports, granting its holders visa-free access to over 170 countries, a privilege not everyone enjoys. Cyprus carries another unique distinction. The capital, Nicosia, is the only city in Europe divided by historical conflict. One side is controlled by Greek Cypriots, the other by Turkish-backed northern Cyprus. Yet, unlike other tense regions, Nicosia is surprisingly peaceful, with people from both sides crossing the checkpoint daily, a living testament to resilience amid division. Language, climate, and daily rhythm. Cyprus uses the euro, although it is part of the European Union. Its culture and traditions remain strongly rooted. Greek is the main language, but English is widely used in public services, tourism, and daily activities. Whether you need to talk, shop, or socialize, using English is generally enough and rarely causes difficulties. In winter, Cyprus maintains a calm and pleasant climate. Daytime temperatures usually stay between 10 and 12 degrees Celsius. It is cool enough for long sleeves, but not cold enough to require thick jackets. Many people still choose light clothing, walk along the shore, or jog in the early morning, as if winter only brings a gentle change. Still, being an island far from the mainland means that doing business in Cyprus requires careful attention. Trust is essential. Locals value personal connections highly. Business relies not only on achievements or public image, but also on introductions. A simple recommendation from a respected friend can open many doors. Each meeting and each short exchange contributes to building your reputation. Cyprus feels both open and close-knit at the same time. From north to south, the island stretches only about 100 kilometers. You can drive across it in under 2 hours if you wish. Some people even choose to walk the distance in about 3 days to experience its daily rhythm more deeply. Every town feels like a small world, with its own pace, people, and colors. The island has no subway or railway system. Transportation depends mainly on taxis, minibuses, and private vehicles. Most residents begin their day early, around 6 morning to seer. The service industry occupies a large share of the economy. Tourism is central, supporting small cafes, souvenir stalls, and boat rental services. Much of daily life moves with the flow of visitors each year. But the tourist season does not last forever. When summer ends and the first cool winds appear, Cyprus becomes much quieter. Many restaurants close earlier than usual. Cafes grow emptier. Streets near the sea have fewer people, creating a peaceful but slightly nostalgic mood. Crime rates are among the lowest in Europe. Cultural quirks and contradictions. Cyprus and Greece are the only two countries in the world that share the same national anthem. Symbolizing their deep cultural and historical connection, nearly 80% of the population follows Greek Orthodox Christianity, with Easter being the most important holiday of the year. During that time, villages glow with candlelight, while holiday bread, red eggs, and church music fill the air. Greek Cypriots eat fresh vegetables, grilled fish, drink local wine, and believe in balance. But here's something that catches visitors completely off guard. Unlike Turkish Cypriots, Greek Cypriots have almost no tradition of drinking tea. Turks are tea drinkers both on the mainland and in northern Cyprus. But Greeks who live in the south drink coffee far more often than tea. It's actually very difficult to see tea on the menu in restaurants or cafes in this country. You can find almost all types of coffee, and mostly you'll see people drinking coffee. Cypriots mostly drink tea only when they're sick. There are even some coffee shops in Cyprus exclusively for men, a remnant of traditional Mediterranean culture. However, not everything in Cyprus lives up to the Mediterranean health paradise image. About 20 to 30% of the population smokes. Although the government has banned smoking in public places, the habit still persists in many cafes and restaurants. And then there's the issue that nobody talks about in the travel brochures. If you think petty corruption or favor-for-favor mechanisms only exist in developing countries, Cyprus will surprise you. Cypriots have a slang term, meson, literally meaning in the middle. figuratively meaning middleman or having muscle, to get a job, expedite administrative paperwork, or even erase a traffic ticket. People often ask, do you have a mason? This creates massive inequality in society, where talent sometimes matters less than whose nephew you are or which official you know. Cyprus is one of the few countries where people drive on the left side of the road, a reminder of its British colonial past. Daily life also starts much earlier than most travelers expect. Many Cypriots begin their day around 6 a.m., with shops, markets, and even government offices opening early. By midday, the streets slow down under the strong sun, and by late afternoon, the rhythm of life restarts again. If you're watching on your phone and these facts are blowing your mind, tap that hype button right now to help this video reach more curious travelers like you. Your support means the world. Surviving the desert sun. On average, Cyprus gets only about 40 rainy days and as many as 320 sunny days each year. But the price to pay is that on many days. The island looks no different from the Sahara Desert, and that is not an exaggeration. Even NASA has released breathtaking satellite images showing powerful winds sweeping massive dust clouds from the North African desert across the sea and blanketing the island. This is why locals rarely leave their homes on such days. In all major cities, air quality monitoring stations operate at full capacity, especially in the spring, when these dust storms strike most frequently. The water situation is even more extreme. Rivers in Cyprus originate from the Troodos mountain range and are filled with water only from melting mountain snow. In summer, all rivers completely dry up, creating a landscape that seems impossible for human habitation. So how do Cypriots survive this brutal heat? The answer lies in ancient wisdom that puts modern technology to shame. Cypriot houses are built with walls that can be up to 1 meter thick, not for defense, but for climate control. They're engineered with air gaps and specific stone arrangements that create natural air conditioning systems. And what's truly impressive, many of these traditional houses maintain indoor temperatures of 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, even when outside temperatures hit 40 degrees Celsius, all without any electrical cooling systems. Modern architects from around the world come to Cyprus to study these ancient cooling techniques that are more effective than most modern heating, ventilating, and air conditioning systems. A humbling reminder that ancient wisdom sometimes surpasses modern technology. But that's not all. The cost of living is quite high, according to the International Monetary Fund, IMF. Cyprus is a small island economy with a high dependence on imports, making it vulnerable to external price pressures such as energy costs and inflation. Its economy relies heavily on tourism, which drives prices up significantly, especially for housing and food. During peak seasons, for example, Limassol, one of the most important and expensive cities in Cyprus, offers everything you would expect from a warm Mediterranean destination with sea views. But finding an apartment there for under 800 EUR is almost impossible. Properties below that price are often considered risky or problematic by real estate agents. Cheaper units are usually far from the center or in very poor condition, with rental rates reaching about 50 EUR per square meter. A small 25 square meter studio can easily cost more than 1,000 EUR per month. Overall, it is a very high price by global standards. Love, loss, and tradition in Cyprus. Cyprus, often romanticized as a Mediterranean paradise, carries a pair of contrasting realities when it comes to relationships. On one hand, the island is known for its remarkably high divorce rate. According to Eurostat data, Cyprus ranks among the European countries with the most divorces, following Latvia, Lithuania, and Hungary. But many couples relocate to Cyprus seeking a peaceful, sun-soaked life. Yet some eventually drift apart. In sectors like tourism, where social circles constantly mix with travelers, infidelity is often cited as a contributing factor. It's a lesser-known side of island life, far removed from the idyllic image shown in travel magazines. Yet, on the other hand, Cypriot marriage traditions are among the most vibrant and elaborate in Europe. Weddings here are not just a single-day event. They can last an entire week and include the participation of extended families, neighbors, and whole communities. The celebrations are lavish, sometimes costing more than a car, reflecting how deeply marriage ceremonies are woven into the island's cultural identity. In some rural areas, one of the most charming customs is the bed-making ritual, where unmarried women decorate the wedding bed with rose petals, rice, and coins while singing ancient songs passed down through generations. This symbolic act carries blessings of prosperity, love, and fertility. Then comes the famous money-throwing tradition. During specific dances, male guests shower the couple with money, not small bills, but often contributions totaling 200 to 500 euros per guest. This gesture transforms the wedding into a festive display of generosity and support. In fact, a single guest's traditional offering can exceed the monthly rent in many European cities. Before we dive into the next mind-blowing fact, would you actually want to live in Cyprus despite all these contradictions? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Meat lovers in an island paradise. Cypriots love eating fatty meat, especially fatty lamb. But why would islanders prefer meat over fish? The reason traces back to medieval times when the inhabitants of this island lived in mountainous areas in the central part of the island. Not by the sea. The seacoast wasn't suitable for agriculture and animal husbandry and was too windy. For this reason, people moved to more central areas where they practiced animal husbandry, raising goats and sheep and eating their meat. So the fact that Cyprus is an island nation should not make you think that people there prefer to eat fish. They prefer animal meat, a culinary tradition that still dominates today. And this meat obsession reaches its peak in one spectacular tradition called mess, which isn't just a meal, it's a social institution that can last up to 6 hours and include over 30 different dishes. But here's what most people don't know, and what gets many tourists in trouble refusing food during meals is considered deeply insulting. And hosts will literally follow you around with plates until you eat. The bizarre part that turns dining into a competitive sport? Cypriots have turned competitive eating into an art form. Traditional Mies restaurants measure success not by how much you enjoy the food, but by how many dishes you just can't finish. It's actually considered a compliment to the chef if guests have to be rolled out the door. And get this, some restaurants even have wheelchairs available for customers who've eaten a bit too much. That's not all. Cyprus is the only country in the world with a protected designation of origin cheese that both sides, north and south, produce and export together, halloumi. Halloumi is the only cheese that doesn't melt when grilled. Cypriots consider it white gold. With halloumi export revenue exceeding many other industries, there was once a fierce legal halloumi war between Cyprus and foreign companies, even Britain, to secure rights to this name, a battle over identity as much as economics. But of course, all this indulgence comes at a price. According to the World Health Organization, Cypriots are most likely to suffer from diabetes and Alzheimer's disease, with those over 70 years old particularly vulnerable to heart disease. A sobering reminder that paradise comes with health consequences. The Limassol Carnival. If you want to witness a city where every social rule is thrown out the window, come to the Limassol Carnival in Cyprus. This is not just a celebration. It's a 10-day-long frenzy where all social hierarchies are perfectly inverted. Bosses might be made to serve their employees, and politicians are mercilessly mocked on spectacular, colorful floats. The festival kicks off with Fat Thursday, when the smell of grilled meat saturates the air, culminating in the massive Grand Parade. But what truly makes Limassol stand out is the organized chaos people willingly participate in ceremonial battles involving flour, eggs, and colored water, transforming the streets into a colorful battlefield. With the contadoroi, serenaders, roaming everywhere, mixing romance and political satire. The Limassol Carnival invites you to break every boundary and immerse yourself in the Cypriot spirit of absolute freedom, where seriousness is strictly forbidden. A cathartic release that perhaps explains how Cypriots cope with their island's many contradictions. The island that defined a civilization. Here's a fact that will blow your mind. Cyprus is an island with mineral deposits so rich that it gave its name to a chemical element. The metal we call copper has the Latin name cuprum, literally meaning the metal from Cyprus. Its abundance of copper turned the island into the lifeline of the ancient world. But even more astonishing than this linguistic legacy is the timescale. These copper mines operated continuously for more than 4,000 years, making them some of the oldest surviving industrial sites on the planet. The ancient Cypriots weren't just miners, they were civilization builders. They didn't just extract copper, they helped forge the Bronze Age, arming entire civilizations and building a trade network stretching from Britain all the way to India. Cyprus was the weapons factory and material bank of the Mediterranean world. The industrial powerhouse of its era, today, when you visit the old mining sites, you're literally walking through layers of human history. You'll find Phoenician extraction marks, Roman tools, and Byzantine equipment lying alongside modern machinery, a vivid, rugged, and fascinating testament to how one metal shaped human history over 4 millennia. And it's fitting that such a powerful island has mythological roots to match. This is also the birthplace of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, beauty, femininity, and female sexuality in Greek mythology. Fitting for an island that has inspired passion and conflict in equal measure. Even Cyprus's modern ruins tell stories. One of the world's premier shipwreck diving sites can also be found here, the Zenobia, a cargo ship that sank off Cyprus in 1980, along with trucks scattered across the seabed. Attracts many tourists for exploration, modern ruins adding to the layers of history beneath the waves. The divided capital and its contradictions. Walking along Ledra Street, the lively shopping hub of Nicosia, visitors may find themselves suddenly stepping into an entirely different atmosphere. One moment you're surrounded by cafes and boutiques, and the next you're at a crossing point where documents are checked and peacekeepers monitor the passage between 2 administratively separate areas. It's a surprising shift that adds an unexpected layer to the city's character. Some nearby buildings remain unused, marked by time, serving as quiet reminders of the island's complex past. The presence of UN peacekeeping forces along the so-called Green Line creates scenes that feel unusual for a European capital. Their role is simply to maintain calm and ensure that this unique arrangement continues to function smoothly. This sense of contrast can even be observed from above. On a mountainside in the northern part of the island, a large flag has been painted, so large that it can be seen from satellite imagery. Its exact coordinates, 35, 37891, often appear in online discussions as one of the most recognizable landmarks visible from space. The human cost of this division, however, is far more profound than any flag. Northern Cyprus recorded the highest level of anger in Gallup's Global Emotions report. This region declared independence in 1983, but almost no country recognizes it, meaning international trade is restricted, tourism is limited, and it depends entirely on Turkish support. This abnormal situation causes daily frustration for many local residents. But here's where the story takes an unexpectedly beautiful turn. The buffer zone controlled by the UN, uninhabited for the past 50 years, has inadvertently become an unintended nature reserve. Picture UN soldiers patrolling while mouflon sheep, a national symbol printed on Cypriot euro coins, leisurely graze near minefields. Scientists have discovered rare mouflon sheep, extinct plant species, and birds thriving in this strip of land full of mines and barbed wire, simply because there are no humans to destroy it. A painful but beautiful paradox, human warfare has become an opportunity for nature to reclaim its kingdom. This division has created yet another peculiarity that catches every visitor off guard. Cyprus is one of the few non-micronation countries without an operating airport near its capital. This airport lies right inside the buffer zone between north and south. Abandoned since 1974, its runways silent witnesses to the island's frozen conflict. The unseen kingdom of feral cats. But not all of Cyprus's inhabitants are human. And this next fact reveals a crisis hiding in plain sight. Cyprus is famously, and perhaps misleadingly, dubbed the Island of Cats. While the initial thought might conjure up images of a quaint, charming pet paradise, the reality on the ground is starkly different and far more severe. The statistics alone are staggering. Almost unbelievable, it is estimated that feral cats outnumber the human population. Roughly 1. 5 million cats versus 1. 2 million residents. This isn't a curiosity. It's an ecological and public health crisis. The darker side of this phenomenon is impossible to ignore once you see it. Cats are ubiquitous, lurking in every shadow, from crowded taverns and dumpsters to the undercarriages of parked cars. Tragically, many are sick, starving or visibly injured, missing an eye, suffering from untreated wounds, or casualties of traffic accidents. The efforts to control this crisis are hopelessly overwhelmed. The existing trap-neuter release programs are overwhelmed and underfunded, failing to contain the explosive reproduction rate. As a result, the island struggles with the rapid spread of debilitating feline diseases. making the island of cats a beautiful yet desperate battleground for animal welfare. Another paradox in an island full of them. The tyranny of Siga. And finally, we arrive at the philosophy that explains or perhaps excuses so much of what makes Cyprus both maddening and magical. Siga, the phrase meaning slowly. Slowly is the unspoken mantra of Cypriot life. In tourism brochures, it's romanticized as a charming, relaxed Mediterranean lifestyle. In reality, when applied to business and public services, it can feel like a genuine tyranny of time. Let me give you a real example of what this means in practice. If you schedule a plumber for 9 hours, they might arrive at noon, or perhaps they'll show up tomorrow. This extreme flexibility is considered completely normal for anyone accustomed to the industrial precision of German or Japanese work culture. The slow pace of life and bureaucratic processes in Cyprus can be a source of intense stress and frustration. Administrative paperwork crawls at a snail's pace, and a simple appointment can consume an entire day. Here's the ultimate irony that captures the absurdity. You can travel across Cyprus in a few hours. The island's length from east to west is only 240 kilometers, and the maximum width from north to south is 100 kilometers. Yet somehow, getting anything done administratively can take weeks. Ultimately, Siga is a cultural paradox that perfectly encapsulates the entire island, a beautiful philosophy for enjoying the sunset, but a challenging one for getting anything done efficiently, perhaps the perfect encapsulation of Cyprus itself. An island where contradictions don't cancel each other out, but instead create something entirely unique. So what have we learned? Cyprus is not just an island, it's a living paradox. A place where ancient copper mines gave a name to an element, where warfare creates nature reserves, where the highest divorce rate coexists with the most extravagant weddings, and where time moves both too slowly and too fast. It's a nation divided yet united by cheese, scorched by desert sun yet cooled by ancient wisdom, small in size yet immense in complexity. This is Cyprus beautiful, contradictory, and utterly mind-blowing. If you enjoy discovering these incredible Cyprus facts, smash that like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing stories about the world's most fascinating places. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.